What's going on, everybody? Crazy Dog back with another Indians live stream. And in this live stream, I'm going to be recapping the Seattle Mariners series and previewing our upcoming series with the Atlanta Braves this weekend. That figures to be a pretty big series for both teams. So, with that being said, let's get right into this Mariners series. It was a 3-game series. Of course, the Indians were coming off an embarrassing getting sweep by the Kansas City Royals. Yeah, we were swept by a team who only had a couple wins, and they were, in the midst of a 10-game losing streak. Gotta love it. So, we head over to Seattle the day after facing Kansas City. We had Trevor Bauer on the mound against the young phenom Yusei Kikuchi. And the Indians offense got after him a little bit, got his pitch count up. And offense came up big in clutch situations, including a home run by none other than Jose Ramirez. That was great. That was awesome to see. And we wound up winning, thanks in large part to insurance runs that we got late in the game. Otherwise, we probably could have easily lost this game. Like, we really could have lost this game. Of course, another streak that the Mariners had. Of course, they were in a 3-game losing streak when they started the series against us, but they also had a streak of hitting a home run in every single game. And, of course, they kept that streak going in game 1 of the series, of course, on Jackie Robinson Day. And the Indians wound up winning 6-4 in what was a very intense matchup. Of course, I live streamed this game. So if you want, go back and watch. That was intense. Bauer looked good. Looked a little shaky at times, but he powered through it. And we wound up getting the win. Now, of course, some of the key plays in this game. Of course, Hanley Ramirez got a single. Kipnis also singled as well. And then Jose homered in the top of the 3rd inning. And then they had a wild pitch in which we would score a run. And then the Mariners actually challenged a hit by pitch, and it was upheld. Allen got hit, which doesn't really happen too often. And then the Mariners decided to make it interesting with 2 home runs from Edwin Encarnacion, go figure, and Omar Narvaez, which would keep their little streak going. And then Carlos Santana would pretty much ice it with a single that would score. And, of course, there was a throwing error, too. Of course, Brad Hand came in the bottom of the 9th and struck out D. Gordon, got Mallex Smith to fly out, and struck out Mitch Haniger. So we win game 1, 6-4. We snap our little funk that we were in. And then we move into game 2. Now, heading into game 2, pitching matchup was Shane Bieber against Mike Leake. Bieber rolled through the 1st inning. I think it was only 7 pitches. And then he came into the 2nd inning, and he had a little bit of trouble. And it seemed like his location was a little off. He walked a couple guys. And of course, I also live stream this game. So if you want, you can go back and check that one out. But the Indians, once again, persevered. And the scoring, Tom Murphy got a RBI single to start it off for the Mariners. And then the Indians would score pretty much most of the runs after that, as Carlos Santana would double, scoring Kipnis. Hanley Ramirez would single, scoring Santana. And then we wouldn't score again until top of the seventh, when Mike Freeman would single, scoring Tyler Naquin. And then Leonis Martin would double, scoring Max Moroff, who came in, I believe, as a pinch runner or hitter. And then, of course, they would homer again, bottom of the eighth. Jay Bruce would go yard, keeping their little streak alive. But yeah, we still won the game 4-2. And now we're starting on this little thing called a winning streak. And in the bottom of the ninth, Ryan Healy would strike out. Tom Murphy would get on base. And that kind of scared me a little bit. I was thinking, oh, crap. Especially when you got D. Gordon and Mallex Smith coming up. And we got D. Gordon to fly out and Mallex Smith to line out. And we won that game 4-2. And then heading into game number 3, we had Carlos Carrasco, who didn't have the greatest first couple outings in his career. He was, I believe, 1-2, had a very high, I think it was like an ERA over 12. And he was going up against Eric Swanson, who was taking over Wade LeBlanc. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we can get after this dude a little bit, beat him up, rough him up, get that pitch count up. That's always one key when you're facing a guy like that. When you're facing an ace or a pitcher that you've never really seen much of, get his pitch count up. Make them get into that bullpen, because the one thing I remember about the Mariners is that they mentioned this a couple of times in the broadcast as well. Their defense was shoddy, and their bullpen lost a couple leads in series prior to this one. Of course, the Mariners got swept by the Astros before we came to town. And so Carrasco's on the mound against Swanson. I'm thinking, oh, God, which cookie are we going to see? Are we going to see elite Carlos Carrasco from a couple years ago? Or is this a whole new cookie Carrasco where he just doesn't have it? And I thought at first he gave up a home run, but the ball was just foul. And that would turn out to be the only scare we would have, because we would get a home run from Jake Bauers, and that's all we'd need. A home run in the 5th inning is all we'd need, as we would complete the sweep of the Mariners 1-0. And, of course, with the Mariners not scoring, obviously they didn't hit any home runs, which means their streak of hitting a homer in every single game ends. Yeah. Now, one streak that is still going, of course, is their losing streak. So, where do the Indians go from here? Well, good news is they're heading home. They're going to their own beds. They're not sleeping in a hotel this time around, at least for a couple days. And then they head to Houston after they get done with Atlanta and Miami. But, of course, they head to Houston over the draft weekend. Of course, I'll only be doing one game, obviously, because I'll be doing the draft coverage. That should be fun. I might have a draft video coming out sometime, maybe in a couple days, talking about a possible target that the Browns might have if we were to trade up in the first round, because John Dorsey had his pre-draft presser today, talked about the possibility of trading up. And he said that if it benefits the Browns as an organization, as a team, he said he'd pull the trigger. That got me intrigued. So anyways, let's talk about this Braves series. So tomorrow, 7:10 p.m. at Progressive Field. It will be Touki Toussaint on the mound for the Atlanta Braves, who right now they are 9-9 on the season. And they will be going up against Corey Kluber, who is 1-2 on the season. And of course, someone's car alarm is going off. Hang on. All right. Sorry about that. Someone's car alarm was going off. I don't know what the heck happened. Someone's trying to carjack somebody. No, there's none of that here. At least I don't think. But anyways, it'll be Touki Toussaint going up against Corey Kluber. Should be a great pitching matchup. Toussaint is 1-0 with no ERA, a 0.00 ERA and 7 strikeouts. And Corey Kluber is 1-2 with a 6.16 ERA and 21 Ks. That should be a fun matchup. Again, key here, get that pitch count up, force the Braves to dive into the bullpen. Now, of course, looking at the Braves roster, yes, let's take a look at some of these players they got. They have a few familiar faces. And one familiar face that actually was an Indian last year for like half a season, if that. No, maybe like a quarter of a season. And that is the bringer of rain himself, Josh Donaldson. Now, of course, two names that immediately stick out are Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies. They're two young studs who, by the way, they just gave nice meaty extensions to. They also have guys like Dansby Swanson, Johan Camargo. They have Josh Donaldson, of course, Tyler Flowers, Freddie Freeman, Ender Inciarte, Matt Joyce. That name sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was an Indian. That's right. For like spring training. And then we booted him out of here. Nick Markakis and Brian McCann are also the notable Braves as well. Now, good news for the Indians is I've heard that tomorrow Francisco Lindor will be rejoining the team, and they will go through any possible avenues or what they need to do next. This means possible activation, or maybe he goes through a couple more rehab starts, although I'm thinking he's going to be activated at some point this weekend. He looked really good in his rehab starts with the Clippers in Columbus. He hit a couple of bombs. I think in the second rehab start, he went 0 for 4. But he's been taking ground balls, and he's been taking batting practice, whether it's with the major leaguers or in minor leagues. He's been looking pretty good. He's looked really good. I'm actually impressed that the Indians have been able to hold their own without him. I was kind of scared. I was thinking, oh, man, don't tell me we're going to struggle until Lindor comes back. I mean, we got Kipnis back. We got Cargo here. We got a pretty good team right now. Now, the only thing is, it's that when Frankie comes back, what are we going to do when it comes to the shortstop position? Who's going to go down to AAA? Max Moroff or Mike Freeman? Honestly, I'd say probably Freeman. I feel like it's going to be Freeman who's going to go. Yep. He's going to go down there and he's going to join Eric Stamets in AAA. So, with that being said now, Game 1 looks like a pretty good matchup. Of course, I'll be live streaming these games. I've heard a little rumor about possible weather, but again, we'll see. If there is a rain delay, of course, I'll probably tweet about it or something. But, yeah. Now, for Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Braves and the Indians, in Cleveland, by the way, it'll be Julio Teheran against Trevor Bauer. Teheran is 2-1 with a 4.71 ERA and 23 strikeouts. Trevor Bauer is also 2-1 with a 2.05 ERA and 32 strikeouts. That's going to be another dandy of a pitching matchup. Two very good young pitchers going at it. And hopefully, again, we can get after Tehran a little bit. Maybe send a few pitches out of the park. Run that ERA up a little bit as well. And then for game 3, it will be Max Fried. I don't know how you say that name. I probably butchered it low key. It literally looks like it's saying his name is Max. I'm going to say Max Fried. He is 2-0 with a .92 ERA, 0.92 ERA, and 12 strikeouts. And he will be going up against our young ace incoming, I guess you could say, our upcoming ace, Shane Bieber, who is also 2-0 with a 1.71 ERA and 22 strikeouts. And by the way, this game will be on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball. You know this game is going to be absolutely lit. Now, what's really good about the way the schedule is going so far for the Indians is that with the inclusion of these off days, we really haven't had the need for a fifth starter yet, which explains why we haven't really utilized Jeffrey Rodriguez, because honestly, there is no reason to. Because we haven't needed him. There's been a couple off days, which allows our 4 usual pitchers to get their good amount of rest. So in some cases, it's their usual, 5 days of rest or somewhere around there, and then they come back. But, of course, that will change coming up here real quick as we have a long stretch of games. In fact, let me pull up the schedule here, and we'll see how many games we got before our next off day. So while I'm waiting for that to pull up, let's take a look at the comments section. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's my dude. You see the ticket prices for the Browns? What the heck are the owners on? It's not really the owners. It's the fact that this team is now must-see, and tickets got to be a little bit pricier, because if they were cheap, everyone would be trying to get in the building. And honestly, man, you got to pay the price to go see your freaking good team play. So I'm willing to dish out a good 100. But anyways, here's what we got to deal with. So we have an off day today. All right, that's cool. We have an off day on the 22nd. So, of course, we have a 2-game series with the Marlins on the 23rd and 24th. And then right after that 1 o'clock game on the 24th, the Indians hop on a plane and head southwest to go to Houston to face off against the Astros. And then they got an off day on the 29th. And then they go to Miami. Literally a week after Miami plays us here, we go down there a week later on the 29th and the 1st. Then we have another off day, and that would be the last off day we see until the 15th of May. As we will welcome the Mariners to town for 3. We have the White Sox coming to town for 4. The A's, we go to Oakland, so more West Coast baseball, although this is not as bad, for 3 games. We go to that Coliseum for 3, and then we go to Chicago for 2. So we're going to need a number 5 starter there. Most likely we're going to see Jeffrey Rodriguez come back up around that time. But, man, this is going to be fun. And then after that off day on the 15th, we have another very long period of baseball. We only have 2 off days, I think, in the entire month of May. And then we got Baltimore for 4. We have Oakland for 3 at home. the Rays at home for 4, and then we go to Boston for 3. And then we end the month of May with Chicago in Chi-Town, in the South Side, the White Sox. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say regarding the schedule. I'm not going to go too far ahead. Motley Crue reference. What were Motley Crue reference? I'm not familiar with that. I know who Motley Crue is, but what reference? Home Sweet Home? Oh, I know actually. I'm just saying because the Indians are coming back home to Cleveland after a lengthy 9 games and 9-day road trip. We went to Detroit, took 2 of 3, went to Kansas City, got swept, and then we went to Seattle where I expected the worst, and we swept them. So how about that? Yeah, that's not too bad, right? We get swept by a horrible Royals team with some good players, and then we sweep the freaking Mariners. Logic. Got a little baseball. Do you know the song? I've probably never heard of it. I don't really listen to Motley Crue, but if I heard it, I'd probably recognize it. But I was not thinking about Motley Crue when I put the title up there. I was just thinking, hey, the Indians are coming home. So I figured I might as well put Home Sweet Home because that's what it is. They spent 9 straight days on the road. No off days except for today. So, but I'm telling you one thing. These guys are going to get to know each other quite well because they're going to have a long time playing. Very few off days coming up. They have an off day, like I mentioned. They have an off day today. They have 2 straight off days on the 22nd and the 29th. Then they have one after the 2-game series against the Marlins on the 2nd of May. After that, 1 off day the rest of the month on the 15th. And then they go through the whole rest of May playing baseball. Luckily, they got a nice long home stand, so they don't really have to go anywhere. Now, on the 27th, they will head back out on the road to Boston and then to Guaranteed Rate Field to face the White Sox. Now, for those who are curious, we have the White Sox for 2 more in June as well. So I must make it a 4-game series against the Paul Sox. I'm thinking of the Boston minor league team, the White Sox. We have a 4-gamer against them now on the road. We always know they play us tough on the road. And then we come back home in June 4th, after an off day, a travel day, I guess you might as well say. And then we come back home for a 3-gamer against the Twins, a 3-gamer against the Yankees, an off day, 2-game home series against the Reds, off day, back on the road to Detroit, and then Texas. And then we're back at home. I don't really want to get too far ahead, but this team is going to be going all over the place. In fact, let me take a look at a date that we're going to need to keep in the back of our heads here. 2019 MLB trade deadline, July 31st. I looked it up on Google, and it's literally said non-waiver trade deadline for the 2019 Major League Baseball season might as well be 100 years from now. That's funny. But yeah, on July 31st is, I believe, when the trade deadline is. And wouldn't you know, we're at home facing Houston. Now, I'm pretty sure the Indians are going to make a couple moves before that time. But, of course, the All-Star game is in Cleveland this year. Might even live stream it. But I'm getting way too far ahead. Let's see what else is going on in here. Okay, before your time, I guess. Where's my wrench, buddy? You should listen to Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue when you can. What's going on, TNM Sports? What's going on, guys? I don't know if I'm gonna follow you or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I am or not. But this series against the Braves is going to be very entertaining. Not expecting to sweep the Braves, although that would be cool. I'm just going to say 2 of 3. I'm just going to say we're probably going to take 2 of 3. So, yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video as we got deer running around outside. That is why my dogs are going crazy. So, I'm gonna end this right now. Movie Critic, I'm gonna get to you after this. So I'm gonna see if I follow you. If not, I will sub to you and everything. I might even mod you up as well. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm Crazy Dog 99. Let's go Indians, and I'll see you tomorrow night for Braves Indians Game 1.